move on now, and we're going to talk about the 4 silent questions. I call them the silent questions is because the client is not necessarily going to articulate them to them. They will definitely be thinking them, but they're not necessarily going to tell you about them. So what are they? Well, the first one is, what are you selling me? What are you selling me? How many of us get a sales call or we get approached by someone saying, oh, what are you selling me? I do it with my daughter. If she's coming up and she's being particularly nice to me, I'm thinking in my head, what do you want? What are you selling me? The key is to be able to articulate the value proposition in a concise way to your potential client. Even if we don't know the real pain the client is experiencing yet, we can position a more general proposition. But once we've questioned further using TED, we can really understand what their needs and wants are and their pain. We can then position the value of what they're buying from us against meeting those challenges. So what are you selling me? How much does it cost? Again, it's a question I often ask my daughter when she's asking for something. How much is it going to cost me? You may not be able to provide exact figures at this point, and you may not want to give them a precise quote. But what you can give them is a range. People like to know roughly what they're going to be looking to pay. This is especially important if it's a new product and they've had no exposure to before. Do they understand what the costs are involved? Your customer will be making comparisons in their head. They'll be benchmarking you against someone else. So such if you're a financial advisor, they'll probably benchmarking you against a solicitor or their accountant. They're trying to benchmark you and put you into a pigeonhole. The third question is, why you over someone else? Why you? Why you over the competition? Why should I go with you rather than someone else? Why do you differ from the competition? And more importantly, why do anything? Why do anything at all? Why not just keep as we are? Do I need a financial advisor at this time? Which leads me into my 4th question, why now? And I would say this is the most important and challenging question to ask and answer. Why? Because if we can get away with putting off spending, then we will. You ask any business owner or financial director and you ask them this question, they will be looking at, can we save our cash flow? That's the same of any head of household, any adult. You'll be looking at, why do I have to spend this money now? Can I put that off? It's very important that we're able to answer that question, even if the client doesn't articulate that to us. Watch this video and it'll explain a little bit more. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now you've got another activity. You're gonna have to engage your brain again. I want you to spend the next 3 minutes going through a real life example. Maybe you've got a client meeting coming up in the next few days or weeks. Could you answer those 4 silent questions? Think carefully. The client may not articulate those questions to you, hence why they're silent, but could you answer them as part of the conversation that you have with them? Spend some time now going through this. You might be asking yourself, that's great, Sass. I have got some fantastic questions to ask, but what if they don't answer? I've prepared this wonderful question and I don't get, firstly, the answer I want or thought I was going to get, or they don't answer at all. What do I do? Well, there's three ways we can look at it. The first is to redirect. For example, if you're with one half of a couple and they respond to a question that you ask, you can redirect the question by asking the other half of the couple to comment on his or her statement. One purpose of this is to use this technique is to ensure that you get both parties engaging, and that's really important. But you can be in a client meeting as well with perhaps two business owners and get them to comment on the previous response. Redirect the question. How about rephrasing? This technique is very useful when a client or a team member provides no response, or maybe gives that great response that my daughter gives all the time, I don't know. So perhaps you can reword the question to make it clearer. The question you might put together might be poorly phrased. Be very careful of using too much jargon and lingo and terminology in questions, because at this point, if they can't answer it, they probably don't understand it. You might want to rephrase by providing more information into the question. Maybe it's too general, too wishy-washy. Or maybe the question is too complex and you need to break it into smaller questions. It's two bigger questions. What is our purpose of life? What does the future look like for us? That's quite a big question to answer, isn't it? Perhaps break it into more manageable parts. The third thing we want to look at is the wait time. Now, interesting research on questioning and information processing indicates that people need at least 3 seconds to comprehend a question. That was roughly 3 seconds. Seemed quite long, didn't it? Consider the available information. They need to formulate an answer and then they need to begin to respond. However, same research established that on average, we only often allow 1, maybe 2 at a stretch, often less than 1 second of wait time. So think about allowing the wait time for your client to respond. Of course, you don't want to wait too long. I'm not saying 20 seconds because that would seem a bit weird, wouldn't it? It's strange. But again, it does depend upon the complexity of the question you have asked. So don't be afraid to ask a question such as, how are you finding the program so far? And then if they don't respond, then think about rephrasing. That was 3 seconds, by the way.